debate has ended. Let me get it going in three, two, one. What up, folks? It is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Wow. That's all I'm going to say is wow. The debates have concluded. I have a host of things I want to discuss with you folks, but I'm going to assume that anybody tuning into the live at this later hour probably just concluded watching the debate. And what I really want to do is I want to get your opinion on what we just saw. I'd love to hear, winners, losers, points made, things like that. And I'll start out by giving my opinion on some of the aspects of the debate, just to get my little pen and pad out here. And as always, you guys know we don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So your commentary is always acceptable here. You don't have to worry about anybody censoring or limiting you, just like we do in the program weekdays in the afternoon. It's an uncensored format, so it still will remain that way. But I will just some of the notes I took down. I mean, I think one thing, even though I took a note on it, I think everybody would agree with this. Biden looks old as fuck. I mean, just the constant fumbling for words. Now, we know Biden has a stuttering problem. I mean, he stated that, but this isn't what we've seen tonight, in my opinion, doesn't come across as stuttering. It is mumbling. It is trying to, and when I go, I'm doing it too. You know, Barack Obama had this way of doing it, but when Biden does it, you can tell he is fumbling for the answer. And in my humble opinion, I guess the best way I would describe it is if you've seen any of the recent Clint Eastwood movies, such as Gran Torino or The Mule, he looks like Clint Eastwood, just like a very aged individual. And then he has that stare that looks similar to what Mitch McConnell had. I actually froze a photo. I mean, we've seen this throughout the debate tonight. I'll see if I can zoom in on Biden's side of this. This really almost a look of fright, almost a look of fright, for lack of a better term. But he had this stare on his face the most of the debate when Trump was speaking, where his mouth is wide open and he just looks like he's almost frightened. I will say this though: if you took the excerpts from the debate in regards to what Biden said versus what Trump said, I don't think Biden did that bad at all. Unfortunately for Biden, this is taking place in living color, 4K. So people can see it. And the visuals of it does not help Biden out at all. In my humble opinion, it probably wouldn't be in Biden's best interest to do a second debate. And they do have another one scheduled later this summer. Now, does this mean the Democratic Party is over with? I would probably say no, for the simple fact that these men represent such a different vision for America that if you are left, Trump's vision for America is too far to the right. And as Bill Maher said, he'd vote for Biden even if they had his head in a jar of blue liquid. And I do believe a lot of liberals feel that way. This is why I've been saying all along that I believe if a more moderate candidate like Nikki Haley went against Biden, she would trounce him. Fortunately for Biden, the right does not like Nikki Haley. Trump is much further to the right of Nikki Haley. And that is probably going to work for Biden to some degree. However, I would not hesitate to suggest the Democrats probably should consider a backup, going to the bench and looking at somebody else. They probably should consider a backup. If he looks like this now, there's no way in hell 3 years through another presidency he's going to improve. I think even most liberals do not expect Biden to survive an entire second term. I'm not saying he'll perish, but to be cognitively functional, it's not going to happen. So Trump, who is 3 years younger, just comes across verbally as far more stronger and in command of what he's saying. Now, we'll go through some of the things he said. I mean, like I said, on paper, Biden didn't do that bad if you had to read the excerpts from what they said. Because the mumbling, stutters, and things like that is not going to be put down if you read it in the paper somewhere. But watching it, Biden looks very old. It looks like these gentlemen are as much as a decade apart. I mean, it doesn't, in my opinion, this debate did not help President Biden out at all. I don't see it. But I want to hear from you folks. You've had my opinion. I'll cover a hell of a lot. I certainly got a few pages of notes I took. We'll talk about that and we'll go from there. So, anyhow, looking in the comments, they both are old. Yes, Benny E, they are both old, but it don't look like these two gentlemen are only 3 years apart. It looks like time has been far harsher to President Biden than it has been to Trump. It just looks that way. I understand what their birth certificates say and they're years apart, but in terms of Trump being able to orate, his voice is strong, forceful. Biden is sounding very timid. Maybe he had a cold or something. I don't know, but he sounds timid. He doesn't speak with conviction. That's what I'm hearing. Looking in the comments though, presidency does age you, says AC. True, but keep in mind both of these men have been through a presidency, and Trump comes across as far stronger. I would say that this is probably the reason why you haven't seen Biden doing a lot of rallies, because it would be all over Fox News. If he sounds like that, they would be trashing him. So this is where the liberals need to either make a decision and go towards an alternative, or circle the wagons and put Obama, Bill Clinton, and the rest of them out there in force. Nevertheless, I do want to go to the box. We'll start off with the one and only Gen X FAFO. Good evening, Gen X. I'm assuming you watched the debate and was quite pleased.
Oh, my brother from another mother.
It is I. I'm assuming you're quite pleased.
Oh, yeah, I watched it beginning to end.
Yeah. What you think?
Let me get this out there. I think Trump definitely took the upper hand on that. But, and this is going to be really weird coming from me, I think Biden, for the most part, held his own, but he did seem old.
Yeah.
He held his own, but he seemed old. He seemed frail. He seemed like he can't do another 4 years, man.
Yeah. I don't. Thank you, Mr. Walter White, for that subscription. I don't disagree with you, which is why I stated on paper, I agree with you. Biden held his own. Maybe he potentially even got the win on paper. But unfortunately for him, this was televised and people can see it.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of makes the difference. Trump was, I'm not going to say sharp, but he was on point. What I didn't like about both of them, Trump and Biden, was when they asked a question, they went back to the previous. They went back to the previous subject and tried to attack their opponent. Yeah. That I didn't like.
Well, speaking of attacks, I got to give Trump a little bit of credit, because I think both of these men came out a little bit different than we expected. Some of us on the left thought Biden would be far more cognitive in place than Trump was suggesting. And we thought Trump would be a wild card and not control himself. Trump actually didn't do a bad job controlling himself, and Biden's cognitive abilities were a little bit poorer than we expected.
I'm going to push back on you against myself.
Oh.
At the end of Trump's spiel, he went after Biden and he said a lot of shit that was actually pretty funny, but it was classic Trump.
Well, Biden actually had some pretty good zingers, though. For instance, he told Trump, "You have the morals of an alley cat." Damn.
Dude, that made me laugh.
He also, when they asked toward the end, asked Trump would he concede the election, and he said he would do it if it's free and fair. Biden basically followed up and said, "You're not going to concede. Something snapped in you. You're such a whiner." Biden was on the attack.
Yeah, no. I'll give you that. He was.
Yeah.
He definitely was. But I think overall, Trump looked more composed.
Yeah.
Biden looked confused at times. He looked like an old man just kind of looking to kind of get away.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a fair statement, but that was my perspective.
Yeah, if you see on the monitor behind me, this look that was on his face was on his face so often I had to take a picture of it. Like that, he just had like a look of worry or like trying to figure out where he was at. I mean, what was coming out of his mouth in terms of the wording wasn't that bad at all. He knew where he was at. He can string together two sentences, but the facial expressions were something out of Nixon versus Kennedy. I mean, his facial expressions were pretty bad.
Now, here's what I said a couple weeks ago to you, Tim, when I was on your show.
Sure.
I think that the left wanted this debate so they've got a reason to replace Biden. And I think this just gave them that reason.
I don't know if that's true, but I do agree with you. This does give them a reason to replace Biden. I watched just a few seconds of the follow-up on CNN, and even they are saying that this should alert the Democratic Party that maybe they need to go to an alternative. So I do believe that. I do believe that. Like I said, I don't know if they were looking for a reason to replace Biden, but I do believe to some degree tonight he gave them one.
Look, whatever people want to say, I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of Biden's a kid sniffer and this and that, because that's bullshit. Yeah. He's an old school guy. Old school, man. Grandpa grabbed you. He gave you a hug. That's just the world I came from.
Yeah.
This man is old.
Yeah. Now
He's in his 80s, man.
Yeah. But I will say though, despite
relax.
Yeah, but I will say though,
the rest of his life.
Yeah, but I agree with you on that. At this point, you should be enjoying what you got left in life. But I will say this. Even though Biden looked like a very frail old man in this, kind of like to me, Clint Eastwood in Gran Torino or The Mule. In Clint Eastwood in recent movies, he looks like Clint Eastwood. And Eastwood is about 10 years older than him, or more than that, actually more than that. But I will say this, because Trump is trying to take the country in a far right direction, I don't think it's going to hurt him in terms of losing voters. I mean, they just, in Oklahoma today, just a few hours before this debate, the governor of Oklahoma is now requiring that the Bible be taught in every school down there. So this far-right America is probably going to help Biden.
I don't know. I'm not going to speak on that. I'm going to speak on the debate.
Yeah.
Which is why we're here.
Okay.
I think both men did okay. I think Trump did a little better. In fact, I think Trump did a lot better at being focused at what he wanted to accomplish. But I don't fault Biden on that. The gentleman is old, and he just needs to move on, man.
All right.
And at this point, the Democrats replace him. I don't see that as foul play. I feel I think that as a good play. And pretty smart and wise on their end.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not close. I'm not actually opposed to replacing them. I don't know how well they could do that with it only being 4 months or so to the election. But this debate didn't help them. I'm moving on, Gen X. I appreciate you coming on this late hour. But yeah, I agree with you. This debate didn't help him out at all.
All right, brother. Have a great night. Let me say this. Moo. Mr. Moo.
That's it? Are you there? All right, we'll move it on. I don't know what happened. He said, move Mr. Moo, and then he froze up. By the way, tap the screen. 700 of you in here. Wow. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 20,000. Program is always will remain MAGA friendly. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. Just trying to gauge what you folks think of the debate. Trump rambling on like ever. Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's what he does, but Biden had a chance to keep him in check, and I'm just simply saying the visuals of Biden. It is what it is. And I see in the comments, Jeremy Klein says Joe blew it. I don't know if he blew it, but he certainly uh, he didn't supersede or he didn't blow Trump out of the water in terms of Trump saying he can't string together two sentences, don't know where he's at, he's getting old. He didn't come out and look like he did at the State of the Union address. He looks worse than he did at the State of the Union address. Or when he gave the ultra MAGA speech where the Marines were behind him with red lighting. This looks worse than that. This looks a lot worse than that. Going back to the box, I see somebody said Biden for the win. Okay, all right. Mr. Walter, appreciate that subscription. And good evening to you. Just look at Biden's face. Yeah. Mr. Walter, good evening.
Hey, good evening.
Hey.
Thanks, Tim.
Hey, did you catch it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
What did you think?
And Biden shit the bed tonight. He's done. He's done.
I don't agree with that part though. I don't think it helped him, but as I stated before, Trump has a chance to appoint 2 more Supreme Court justices. You got Bibles and commandments in schools. I think because Trump is taking the country so far to the right, there is hope for Biden. If it was Nikki Haley, I would agree with you.
I don't deny what you're saying. However, tonight was about independence, people in the middle. People, MAGA, Trump could have gone out there and done whatever, said whatever the fuck he said, and they still vote for him. You know, the far left, same thing for Biden. You know, weekend at Bernie's for Biden. You know what I mean? Just prop him up. I'm going to vote for him. But the independence, which is what's happening, what's going to determine this election, Biden shit the bed tonight.
But see, when you start talking about the independence, once again, I'm going to point out that I believe with Trump drawing the country to a far right direction, if Trump was more moderate, I think I would agree with you 100%. The independents are probably going to lean his way. But because he's promoting a really strong far right America with, like I said, Christianity, giving police immunity and stuff like that, I don't know. In my opinion, Biden probably should just stay away and let folks vote on how they feel. He probably shouldn't do the second debate.
Yeah, he should not have done the debate. He was so bad tonight. Now, I don't disagree with you about that. However, there are people in the middle, and it's a very frail man. And
but if you're in the middle, you do have principles. You stand on something.
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I think there's a line where you have your principles, and then you have somebody that you literally think is not competent to do. So you immediately have to go to, this guy's not going to last. Kamala's going to be the next person, and you have, it's a lot of calculus versus, and honestly, I didn't think Trump did bad. I thought he did pretty well. I mean, he hit a lot of the high notes. A lot of his shit was bullshit. But who's, really parsing this out? I don't know.
I was. Who was parsing it out? I was. Trump claimed he claimed that we had the best economy.
Your average Joe, are they parsing this out?
Oh, okay.
Trump dominated it. Trump dominated it.
I don't. Go ahead.
I don't deny that I didn't want that to happen, but he did. And I don't think, before all this, before today, I thought Biden had a good chance. I don't think he does now.
Yeah, I understand your point, but like I stated earlier, I don't think Biden's lowered cognitive abilities is going to swap people. Like I said, when you're talking about giving cops immunity, or you're talking about a far right America. Just like if I was talking about taking away everybody's guns, and you had Ozzy Osbourne in there who was pro-Second Amendment, nobody would give a damn that Ozzy Osbourne was out of his mind. If you're talking about destroying the country, principle-wise for somebody, because Biden's only going to be around for 4 years. So even if he completely sucks, he still has his cabinet, he still has his advisors. But if Trump gets in there, you're going to replace Clarence Thomas and Judge Alito. So you're going to long after these two men are probably deceased, those two Supreme Court picks will still be there. So
I mean,
go ahead.
I agree with you completely on that. I'm just saying for the average, independent person, if you watch tonight's debate, as in, let's compare these people, I honestly just don't, and I understand what you're saying about the, policy positions. And if you believe strongly in certain policy positions, you may have an inclination to one candidate or the other already. But I'm saying if you just kind of don't know, like it's just about my bank account, which is honestly most of the people's independent position, how much tax am I paying? Fucking Trump won tonight.
Yeah.
On those things.
Well, I'm just going to say this because I know there are some liberals, even some African Americans, that are leaning towards Trump because, as you say, they believe that the economy was better under Trump. Like I said, I've said this on the show earlier today. When you're talking about the potential of two Supreme Court picks, even if Trump gives you $2 gas, I'm speaking to folks that may be somewhat liberal that's looking at Trump compared to Biden's economy. Even if you get Trump back in office and he lowers gas prices or lowers inflation, you're talking about two Supreme Court picks that are going to be fairly far to the right, that are going to be around for 20 or 30 years. $2 gas is kind of mild compared to that.
I mean, I 100% agree with you. But how many voters are thinking of those two things?
Yeah.
How many of the average voter?
Yeah.
Most of the average voter, even the, I would say 60, 70% of the voters, honestly, they really don't give a fuck about any of that shit unless, and how it affects their bottom line, how it affects their money.
Yeah. And that's a problem. And that's why I say one of Biden's biggest downfalls is he's not out speaking to the public like Trump is. Whereas that should be something that is spoken in every Democratic gathering, is that you got a 6-3 majority and it's a possibility he could get 2 to 4 more picks. You'll never see anything left in America again for the rest of most of our lives.
I agree 100%. And that did not come up one time out of Biden's mouth tonight.
Yep.
And that's a huge point, right? Between, left people, middle to left, I would say you and I are in the same kind of situation.
But when you mention independence, and that point makes a big deal for them, because if you're an independent, meaning you can see good and bad on both sides, if we get too far to the right, it is not balanced anymore. It's just all right wing. I mean, if the Supreme Court goes, let's say 7-2, or even if it remains 6-3 for the next 40 years or more, that's not middle, that's far right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How did you hear that tonight? This was a debate.
Yeah.
Biden could have made that point. He shit the bed tonight. I'm not trying to be, man. Honestly, I just feel like the guy is old and he's just not up to the job, and it showed tonight. And I feel bad for the guy. I have empathy for the guy, but it's time, man. We need to shift gears.
Now you lean left, right?
Yeah.
All right. Last question.
Yeah,
final question. Who would you replace him with?
It's a tough choice. I would say I like Gavin Newsom. I like Jamie Raskin, Katie Porter. Even Kamala. I think Kamala could honestly debate the fuck out of Trump over what Biden did tonight.
Yeah.
I think she's a smart person. I don't know why she gets the shit she gets, but I honestly think she's a smart person. Maybe she's got a little bit of hypocrisy in her past, but she's a fucking politician. I mean, who doesn't?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, all of them do.
But I think she's a smart, accomplished person, and she could run fucking circles around what Biden did tonight. So
I think just about anybody. All right, appreciate you coming through. All right, man, appreciate it. Catch you later. All right, anytime. All right, moving the program on, we will go to the one and only Moo, the Tuxedo Cat. Now, Moo is a progressive.
Oh, no, man. So, listen, I could tell you about how right I am all the time and how people should listen to the progressive wing of the Democrat Party and how he told you Trump would lose to Hillary Clinton and how I'm going to tell you right now that I've been telling you there's only one reason I'm voting for Joe Biden, and that's to take over the Democrat Party because you'll have so much corporate money going through your party that you, if so, so Democrats, I'm not talking to the progressives in chat right now, I'm talking to the Democrats, okay? If you guys are going to sit here and try to tell me that this is the most important election of my lifetime, and you're telling me that that's the guy you're running to save our democracy, you're a bunch of goddamn fools. And I don't care what any of you try to say right now. I don't care who it is. If you're on here and saying that Joe Biden should continue to run for the presidency, you're a fool. I don't care if you're a progressive and you think that, you're a fool. Yeah. And if you're a liberal and you can't look within your party, if you can't look within your party to see what's wrong with your party, you are liberal MAGA. Because MAGA can't look. So if you think Trump dominated tonight, you're also a fool. Okay? Because Trump talked about after-birth abortions. That's not a thing. Okay? That's not real. Okay, he said a bunch of things that aren't real. It's fantasy. Trump spouted a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah, one of the things I took
embarrassing presidential debate I've ever seen in my life. And if any of you think that either of these dunces won this debate, you should be ashamed of yourself as an American. Okay.
Well, hold on. I don't think. I won't say one or the other. I think Biden lost, but it's not that he lost it to Trump. I just think his cognitive abilities are not working for him.
What do I always tell you when I come on here? I tell you, Republicans don't beat Democrats. Democrats beat themselves. Right? Don't I always say that to you?
It happened tonight. It happened tonight.
So I keep telling you guys different policies that I know will work. I keep telling you what's going to happen, and you keep telling me I'm full of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm lying. But no, everything I tell you is always happening. It always comes to fruition. So I suggest that you guys listen to me because I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Well, I'm not going to argue with you there. Real quick. I
said Biden's not the man for the job. You need to pick somebody else. You told me I'm a fool.
I didn't say that.
I'm a fool. Not you in particular.
Oh.
There are people on here who have even booted me off their lives because I said Biden's not the man for the job. He's too old, right? Yeah. And now all the Democrats are flipping out. Oh, we need to pick someone else. We need to pick. Yeah, I've been telling you, you need to pick someone else.
Yeah. And real quick, that Charles, thank you for that train. That certainly did not go unnoticed. I do appreciate that. So at the end of the day, do you think Biden has hurt the Democrats' chance? It sounds like you do.
Yeah. So what you had up there is an old bit. So I'm not going to get into Biden's cognitive abilities. He's 81 years old. Okay? Yeah. The dude should not be running for president. And Trump, okay, let's get into Trump, right? Okay? Because he didn't do, if you think Trump did a good job, you're ridiculous. You're honestly ridiculous. He said a bunch of lies the whole time. He didn't answer several questions. He didn't answer questions about climate change. He didn't answer questions about child care. He didn't answer questions.
Well, let me say this about Trump. What made Trump look good, what helped Trump out, I'm not saying he won, but what made him look good is he passed the test that everybody was saying that Biden had to pass. In other words, the bar was dropped so low for Biden, all he had to do was walk out and he passed. And all. Hold on, hang on, hold on. Everybody suggested that the bar was so low for Biden, all he had to come out and do was look dignified and he suddenly win because they lowered the bar. They also lowered the bar for Trump and made it sound like he'd come out there like a madman. And he passed. He was actually fairly dignified.
No. This is not. So if your standards are that low, that's fine for you. And Chad, if you have standards that are that low, that's fine for you too. Just because your standards are that low doesn't mean that mine have to be right. I don't have to concede to your standards of what a president should be. If you honestly think that low of a bar is okay for this country, then shame on you, man. Honestly, seriously.
It was that low for Biden.
No, they didn't even talk about real issues tonight. Biden was mumbling the whole time. You could barely understand him. He didn't attack Trump on barely any of his lies. He didn't get any good points across, and he lost on abortion. How do you lose on abortion to Trump? And you guys are telling me that this is the man that should be running for president? Like Democrats, if you keep telling, if any of you, I don't care what TikTok creator you are, if you tell me that Biden is the man should run for president, you should not be a TikTok creator anymore. You should stop doing political content because you don't know what you're talking about. I don't care who's listening right now either.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that the case is made that Biden would have been better off stepping down a while ago. I don't think that that is an argument anymore for anybody on the left. I think just about anybody would say this is not the best, but they were saying that already.
Saying it. Look in your chat. He's still better than Trump. He's still better than Trump. So you still have Democrats being Democrat MAGA, right? Who Hillary's better than Trump? Was she? Well, I guess not, right? Because she was never president. So was she better than Trump? Not according to the voters, right? So she lost, right? And now I'm telling you that Biden will lose to Trump. So if you want to continue with your heads up your butts, go ahead, man. I've seen you guys do this to yourselves before, and I warned you then too. And I'll tell you the same thing now. So you can tell me I'm full of it. You can tell me I sit up here and spit lies, but I'm actually one of the most truthful people you have come on your program.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of criticism tonight because Biden lived up to what you said. By the way, both Gabriel and Gen Xer have said they'll meet you on Hell Divers too.
That's
but
excellent, though.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, man, if you know what, man, we can talk, man. DM me for real though, because I love Helldivers. It's a really good game.
yeah. And what did he? I just want to give you this before I move it on from you. He said Gen Xer said, "Move if we play Hell Divers too. I'ma shoot you in the face."
That's cool, man. You can. I mean, what is it? I made it to like 80, I think, so far in that game. So I have everything unlocked already, man. I'll definitely be some competition for you.
All right. So well, hopefully you guys can talk to me about that another time. I do appreciate you coming on, Moo. I can't argue with you today. I can't argue with you. Biden kind of lived up to your statements, your expectations. So I can't argue with you, man. Wow. Appreciate you coming in this evening.
Have a good night, man.
I don't know if I can, but thank you. Wow, bad night. I'm just going to say that for Biden. Bad night. Now, Biden, like I said, on paper, his word, I don't think it was that bad on paper. Now, Moo pointed out that, in his opinion, Biden even lost to Trump on abortion, which is, wow, that's astonishing. But in my opinion, Biden's worst part of this debate is the visuals. I mean, I suppose the audio too, because you can hear him mumbling. If you, like I said, if this was something you were reading from a court reporter or something like that, Biden would look a lot better. He may have won the debate, but unfortunately, you were able to see it, and that didn't help out Trump at all. I believe this happened with Richard Nixon and Kennedy, where Nixon was on television sweating and it cost him to lose. I think something very similar to this happened. I don't know if it'll happen in this case because these two gentlemen are so politically polar opposites, but I don't think the debate helped Biden at all. Now, Biden lied a lot and started stuttering, says Kayla. I would tell you one thing, Trump wasn't honest as well. I mean, Trump talking about Biden's the worst president in history. He had the best economy in history. I think Trump kind of did what he typically does and exaggerates, makes everything sound like it's the best and brightest. I mean, the economy under Trump wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best in American history. That's what he said. No, that's not true. So, and I don't like the idea. I'll go back to the box, but one of the things I don't like that Trump is still doing, blaming Nancy Pelosi for January 6th. I'm not a fan of it. Fact is, until I see some solid evidence that Biden stole the election, because January 6th was all about stop the steal. Until I see some solid evidence that the election was stolen, January 6th shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have been Nancy Pelosi's job to secure something that should not have happened. Those folks were there to stop the steal that Trump told them was happening. I have not seen Trump present solid evidence that the election was stolen from him. So I'm not quite there on that. In the comments, Betty, Biden says Foster, not in what does that say? Now your wording, rot in wow. By Biden, rot in hell, undead pedo. God damn, Foster. Can't wait to vote Trump. Trump did win. Caller is coping and seething. Thinks he's smart. And that's in reference to Moo. Um, you want him to ride in hell? Come on now, Foster. Thank you for the super chat, but come on now. Okay, you don't believe Biden has the right vision for America, I get, but ride in hell? That's God, that's harsh. Going back to the box, we'll keep it going with I don't know where I'm looking at here. MAGA Trump 2024. I think that pretty much sums it up. MAGA Trump 2024. Good evening.
What's going on, boss? You hear me?
Like loud and clear. What did you think?
I think Biden was a joke tonight.
Hmm. Why do you say that? Is it because of the speech, the cognitive abilities?
His approach on every question and everything he did tonight, I think it was a complete joke to America. And he didn't sound confident. He approached everything not confident at all.
Well,
he was stuttering. He couldn't really answer questions.
Well, I gotta push back. Some of his attacks on President Trump sounded confident as hell. The audio in his voice did not. He couldn't project his voice very strong. But when he told Trump, please, you got the morals of an alley cat, talked about him sleeping with a porn star and things like that. He sounded confident when he talked about Trump saying that he talked about he went to the Normandy Memorial. First he said World War I, but he straightened it out and said World War II. But when he said how Trump viewed soldiers as losers and things like that, and he went after Trump, he sounded confident in that case.
He doesn't sound confident in any of his policies or anything he actually has going through him or anything he's actually trying to pass. Like when he was trying to talk about he was talking about the border, and then he was talking about Medicare, and he just got completely discombobulated. Yeah. And it just sounded like a joke. I was laughing. Like it did not sound like the United States president as it should be.
Yeah. But if that's the case, then I'm assuming you think that Kennedy should never be president. I mean, because you hear his voice.
Hey, I'm not that old, man. I'm only 21, so.
Oh. You haven't heard Robert Kennedy that's running for president?
Oh, Robert Kennedy? No, I thought you were talking about John F. Kennedy.
No, the one that's running now.
RFK. No, because I think he's irrelevant to the race. I think it's very
Yeah. It's a binary choice.
They're disincluding RFK and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, but the only reason why I brought up RFK is because you're talking about not sounding confident, the voice. I mean, he had I believe RFK said he has something's wrong with his voice. He has something going on, but I mean he doesn't sound confident because of what's going on with his voice either. So can we really judge somebody simply because of how they sound?
Did you hear the beginning when Biden was talking about Medicare, but then he went off topic and started talking about the border, and they went back to Medicare, and he was stuttering and was silent for about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You don't think that's an issue with the United States of America and other countries looking in and like just looking at that? It's an embarrassment to our country.
Yeah, it happened very early on in the debate. And it measured up to Trump suggesting the guy doesn't know, and I saw Trump give him a look. Trump didn't cash in on it and really attack him. He got him later when he did something similar and said, well, I couldn't even understand what he was saying. I don't think he even knows what he was saying. He did attack him on it the second time. But the first time he did it, it looked bad, and it was only a few minutes into the debate. If he had did that toward the end, probably not as bad, but because he did it so early, it just set the whole tone for the debate. Moogly, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. So, go ahead.
Keep subscribing to the guy. There we go. And absolutely, and just think about this. Biden was at a camp for a whole week with a bunch of Democrats, Obama, the Clintons, and all them, and Trump was still continuing with his rally, his his speeches and doing all this, and he wasn't really putting this debate in front of all of his other stuff. He was putting this to the side, and he just did it as he was going. And I think that's what it is.
But I will say, Charlemagne the God, who's he hosts the Breakfast Club. He's the guy that Biden told, vote for me or you ain't black. He once said that Trump lies better than Biden tells the truth. And I gotta kind of agree with that, because even though Trump was far more powerful in his statements, I mean, as one of the guests earlier said, late term abortions is not a thing. People are not having babies and then handing a live baby to the doctor and saying terminate the baby. I don't know why the Republicans keep suggesting that folks are having afterbirth abortions. Trump mentioned that tonight. Even though his voice sounds good, he sounds powerful and confident. That's just, as Biden would say, malarkey. That's not true. That's not happening.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not that big on the abortion thing, but what I could say on that topic is, see the women could have an abortion whatever time they want, and they could just kill an innocent baby that's not born yet. It's not born yet, but it's still a human being that will once be. It could be you. It could be me. It could be anyone. But a woman could kill that kid just because they don't feel like they're ready to raise that kid. But then nowadays, I hear it all the time with a lot of African Americans. People say, "Oh, where's your daddy? They left," and they get criticism for not wanting to raise that kid. And I think that's wrong, because why should only the women have the say in that and not the dad?
Yeah, but and I'll go with what you're saying. Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish. The woman could have the kid, and the father doesn't want it, and the father abandons them, and then the father gets so much shit. It could happen to anyone. It happens to a lot of fathers, not just African Americans, white people, fucking anyone. But I just think it's completely wrong that a woman can have all the say and just support the child.
Well, she does have all the biological work necessary to bring the child to life. I mean, once the dad goes, he's kind of out of it. She's the one whose body stretches out of shape, who could potentially lose her life or have health issues in child. I mean, a woman takes all the responsibility. So, biologically, it's not fair for the woman. She's the one doing all the work.
It's a two-way thing. What creates a baby? Is it just a woman, or is it a male and a female?
Childbirth is not a two-way thing. The man could be out playing golf. I mean, it's not a two-way thing. The woman is doing physically all the work, taking all the risks. Men don't die in childbirth. They don't get diabetes. Their skin don't stretch. It ain't two-way. It's all her.
It is 100% two ways, because you act like a female doesn't have a say in the male wearing a condom or not wearing a condom, or being safe or not being safe. Because it honestly, at the end of the day, it all has to do with the woman's choice. And listen,
yeah,
it really has to be that way.
Okay. Well, I will say this: even though you and I may have difference of opinion on this, at least you are keeping it more along the line of being realistic. You're not talking about after birth abortions. You just believe the man should have a say in whether his child lives or dies. We can debate that, but what Trump is saying is a flat out lie. That people are not doing that. Bringing babies back to the hospital after it was born and aborting it, that's not happening. And he's saying that all over the place.
But under Roe v. Wade, you can abort a child to 9 months, and I don't think that's right. Like, if you were to even have an abortion, it should be less. I don't support it at all, to be honest with you.
You don't support something that's not happening, though, MAGA Trump. You're saying under Roe v. Wade you could do this and you could do that. That's not happening. Trump is making it sound like women are bringing, children that are 1 or 2 days old back to the hospital and aborting them all over the damn place. What is this, a minority report you want to pass along on what you think could happen in the future? Nobody's doing that.
Okay, you're talking about Minority Report, but you don't. Okay, what party started like slavery and all that? Can you tell me what party started slavery?
Democrats.
Okay, and what party abolished slavery and freed the slaves?
The Republicans. What's your point?
Okay, I'm just saying on
Okay,
that.
okay. Now you asked me that question. Let me ask you this question. In regards to what party abolished slavery, what party defends statues representing the slave owners now?
I would say both parties. What has the Republican? Oh,
When have you seen? Wait. When have you seen Democratic parties defending slave owner statues? Where have you seen that at?
do you know? I forgot his name, but Joe Biden was raising a KKK leader. Not the people will say it's like the master of the KKK. It wasn't KKK.
He was raising him.
He was raising a KKK leader's hand. I think it was Robert Clyde. You can look. You
You're talking about Senator Byrd.
Okay. Joe Biden was raising his hand, and he was a KKK leader. Look it up. You can see him raising his hand.
What does that got to do with what I just asked you? What party is defending former slave owner statues, the Confederate flag? What party is defending that right now?
Confederate flags?
Yeah.
You act like Confederate flags.
I'm just asking you a question. Which party defends that?
Majority of the people defending the flags are the Republicans. But let me finish. A lot of them started those farms, started those places, and built those places up, and those were family inheritance, and that were building them up, and they represent that. It wasn't all with slavery.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking you that is you're bringing up the Democratic Party founded slavery and all this stuff, but you're kind of hesitant on admitting that the party that's defending all those people that was doing that stuff is now Republicans.
Have you ever heard Biden's speeches? If you're not black, if you don't vote for me, come on.
Yeah. Have you heard? I've heard Biden say, "Vote for me, you ain't black." I mentioned it about Charlemagne the God about 2 minutes ago. But have you heard Trump state that if you are Israeli and you don't vote for him, you hate your religion, you hate Jewish people? He basically said, if you don't vote for him, you're not Jewish.
Yeah, I heard that absolutely.
What's the difference?
Because Trump is pro-Israel. And
all right, and Biden maybe Biden considers himself to be pro-black. What's the difference?
Okay, that makes zero sense. He's not pro-black at all.
And many would say that Trump is not pro-Jewish. Remember the folks that were walking down. Hold on. Remember we just talked about the Confederate flag and statues. Those folks were yelling, "Jews will not replace us." Trump said there are good people on both sides. You're telling me he really is pro-Jewish now?
Absolutely, because Trump under Trump, the Iran was broke. Their economy was down 90%. I think it was 90%. They had zero money. I think it was like 30 billion, and they had zero money to actually fund the wars between Hamas and Israel. And Hamas would have never striked on Israel under Trump.
Okay. Well, if you want to say that Trump is pro-Jewish because of things he's did for Israel, how can you say that Biden has an issue with black? You realize how many things I could tell you that Biden has done for black people? How many people he's appointed? If what you're saying works for Trump with Jews, then Biden loves black people.
Yeah, so does Trump. Trump actually did the most for African Americans. He actually had the lowest unemployment for black African Americans. So you can actually look it up. That's a very well-known stat that Trump had the lowest unemployment for African Americans. You look that up.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Well, Trump. In regards to Trump. Yeah, in regards to what you're talking about.
Don't pivot.
I'm not. You didn't hear nothing I said to even suggest I was pivoting. I said in regards to Trump, and you started saying don't pivot. You don't know where the hell I'm going with it.
All right, let's hear it. All right, let's go.
In regards to Trump's black low unemployment rate, Trump's numbers were great in terms of employment for everyone. It wasn't just black people. He had 3.5 unemployment rate. Everybody was benefiting. It wasn't like he was doing it specifically for black people.
Okay, but it was the African Americans' employment rate not up.
Yeah, it was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
Everyone was good.
Okay.
We could agree on this. The economy was doing a lot better under Trump, employment-wise. Is that not true?
No, I don't think it's. I
Until
don't
COVID.
say that again.
Until COVID struck, because that was a new virus. The coronavirus was new, but until the corona came around, the economy was doing
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I think the economy was doing good under Trump, just like it was doing good under Obama. But you can't exclude COVID from Trump's presidency because depending on how he handled it, the economy could have stayed good or gotten bad. I mean, his handling of COVID must be taken in consideration.
The economy was doing good until like I think it was like a year into Biden's presidency until he started lifting a bunch of Trump policies and all of his stuff, and then forcing the vaccine onto people to get into work because the vaccine was a requirement to even get into a lot of places
So who are you blaming for that? Who are you blaming for forcing people to get vaxxed?
to get the vaccine. Biden, because he tried to enforce it onto a lot of people, and
Okay.
you can't disagree with that.
Yeah, yeah, I can. I don't. Under the Biden presidency, if you didn't want to get shot, you didn't have to get the shot. You can't blame Biden for what your employer is doing. Biden didn't pass any laws or executive actions requiring any employer to force somebody to get jabbed. That's up to that employer. Plenty of places allow people to work there without getting, that was the governors that were doing that. That wasn't Biden.
No, that is not true. The way Biden tried to enforce the coronavirus as this huge thing and enforce it onto people and
Enforce it how? What did he do to try to enforce it, as you say?
I'm explaining, but you cut me off. It's all good. But he enforced it, saying he like saying things like "you're gonna die if you don't get this," and there's speeches of him saying a lot more people will die until people get this vaccine.
Yeah, you do realize Trump said people were going to die too. He the one that came out on television and said I had to shut the economy, shut the country down because millions of people were going to perish. He said that too.
Because the coronavirus was a new virus that we were not aware of. We had no scientific evidence or any history on this virus. It was a brand new virus under Trump, and he I think as a president he handled it pretty good. Not amazingly, he didn't do it perfect, but he did it to the best he could do.
He could have done a hell of a lot better. First of all, if you thought Fauci sucked, replace Fauci. You don't leave Fauci on the task force if you think he's doing a poor job. Herman Cain, many suggest that Trump is the reason Herman Cain is no longer with us. I gotta disagree with you. I don't think he did well on the pandemic. I think that is the reason why he's not in office.
Well, you say that now after the fact, right? Just like a lot of people are turning to Trump now after the fact that Biden handling the economy, handling the world wars, not world wars, but like wars going around in other countries. So more people are going to turn towards Trump because of the wars going around the country, because it's going on right now. And if Trump doesn't handle it well, they're just turning another way because that's how people are. They don't. They live it. They kind of just think, oh, he's in charge. Let me just vote for the other guy because this guy's doing a shit job, and you can't really deny that.
Yeah,
and that's a fact that a lot of people do because they don't look into the future. They just look, oh, this guy's doing a shit job. Let me vote for this guy because he's not in the office. This guy's doing a shit job. Let me vote for this guy. He might do a better job, and you can't deny that.
Okay, MAGA Trump, you certainly are a good conversation. Unfortunately, I got other people holding. Is this our first time talking? I will respond to what you just said, but this is our first time talking?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hey, look, good conversation, man. We don't have to agree on the damn thing. Come on back anytime. I will respond to your comment, but I do got to move it on.
All right. I'll listen to the comment.
Thank you. Appreciate it. MAGA Trump. Now, in regards to his suggestion that people, before I go back to the box, and by the way, folks, tap the screen, get the likes on up to about 50,000, 800 plus of you in here. Same on YouTube. I will respond to the super chats on YouTube momentarily. One guy sucks, so I'm going to vote for the other guy. As he stated, this is going to draw more people to Trump. As I said earlier in the broadcast, by the way, Tammy Green, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. If Trump wasn't 180 degrees of Biden, if Trump wasn't trying to take America as far to the right as he is, I would be more willing to agree with my last guess. But as I stated earlier, with Trump, everything from now they're forcibly going to teach the Bible in every Oklahoma school. So now every school in Oklahoma has to teach the Bible. We talked about Louisiana with the Ten Commandments. I think that even if Biden sucks, even if he is awful, because Trump is taking the direct country in such a far right direction, liberals are not going to go to Trump. They're just not. He's nowhere near the middle where you're like, okay, I don't like Biden because he can't speak or he looks like he needs to sit down and retire. I'll go to Trump. Trump is so far to the right that I would submit to you that most liberals and damn sure progressives are not going to vote for Trump. They'd rather take their chance that something will happen to Biden or he'll step down and Kamala will be in there. They'd rather almost have mystery meat than Trump because Trump goes against every liberal principle that those folks have. So I don't believe that Biden's cognitive abilities is going to make people go to Trump. I think it might make the liberals consider another candidate. By the way, Trump, MAGA Trump 2024, good conversation. Appreciate you coming through. Going back to the box, and by the way, debating whether murder is okay, America's fallen, says Foster. We're talking about abortion, and he's saying if you're debating whether murder is okay, America has fallen. Don't we have debates all the time about whether or not we should have the death penalty? Is that not debating murder? So America's always fallen. In fact, America was founded on killing. That's literally how we took over the country, by murdering people. So what do you mean America is fallen? We've always been that way. Not to mention the whole slave trade where you force people, I'm not saying you, but America forced people to work for free. And if they contested it, they were good to be murdered. So what are you talking about? I don't quite get that. Bro is lost. Get that man a map. Naeem Barbara says, what is he talking about? Debate and looking in the comments. David Dilly, this debate disappointed me. They both did terrible. RFK 2024. I gotta give a slight edge to Trump in terms of meeting or exceeding expectations. Yeah, Trump told some lies. In my humble opinion, Trump always tell lies. That ain't something that's surprising. He told some lies. Most of the lies Trump told that people believe where he was being dishonest, he said that shit all the time. But the expectation from Trump was he's not going to stop talking. He's not going to be able to control himself. He's going to launch a bunch of personal attacks. He really didn't do any of that. He actually was fairly calm and controlled. I would submit to you, Biden probably launched more personal attacks at Trump. Whereas Trump mentally did a little bit better than many would expect it. Biden did worse. So I do believe that there's a little bit of an edge to Biden, or to Trump rather, from that aspect. But yeah, Trump wasn't completely honest, but like I said, we've gotten used to that. Tell him to stop pivoting, says Dave. Yeah, he was doing that. But listen, I get guests that pivot, and some of them say I do it. 7 states have no limit on abortion. Ralph Northam pushed for after-birth abortions with huge support. Others have as well. Caller isn't great at articulating, has the right idea though. So you're saying, Foster, that this Ralph Northam pushed for after-birth abortions with huge support. That ain't enough though. Okay, you got liberals that push for defunding the police. You got Trump pushing for giving police immunity with huge support. So you're going to have some people push for controversial things and get some support. But that's all. That's the gist of it. There are nobody out there having late-term abortions. Yeah, there's a few people, as you're pointing out. Boy, you got huge support. You could push for the return of slavery and get a lot of support. But that don't mean it's being done. We're talking about Trump, and Ron DeSantis has done it too, making it sound like women are aborting children in the 9th and 10th month. It's not happening. Now, saying somebody is pushing for it, Every crazy idea in America features somebody pushing for that. That's not a you. Somebody were pushing to take out Mike Pence. That means nothing. Stand back and stand by. Proud Boys did nada wrong, says Gen X. Jen, you. Oh God. All right, Gen X. And Foster says you missed my older chat about Zayd and Tip. I did miss something, and I don't want to do that. And I do apologize for that. I always any super chat I'm going to read that. I'll go back to the box shortly. But Foster said watching Biden's brain melt on TV was sad. Damn. Was okay with him having the we okay with him having the nuke button. Biden was a bully tonight. Pathetic performance from sniffing Joe. Are we okay with Biden having the access to the nuclear football? Is what you're saying because of Biden's cognitive abilities? I'm gonna say yeah, and I'll tell you why. And not because I lean left or any of that bullshit. I believe that Biden is far more likely not to act unilaterally. In other words, before Biden would exercise our nuclear capabilities, I believe he's going to get a recommendation from the generals. I don't believe he's going to get pissed off with somebody and fly off at the handle. Unless he is really completely insane. I don't believe Biden would do that. However, I do believe Trump, and I'm not saying he's going to go out and launch a nuclear war and I'm crazy like that, but Trump is far more likely to act unilaterally, to go against all of the advice of the experts. Trump is the guy that would do that. He's the one that said the NSA don't know what the hell they're talking about and he trusted Russian intelligence. He's the one that actually told the FBI to ignore their recommendation that Jared Kushner did not meet FBI standards to get a clearance to get in the White House, and he told them to get rid of that and let him in anyway. Trump is the guy that you should be fearful in something like that. I don't think. I think if Biden felt a certain way, but the generals came to him and told him we don't need to do this, he wouldn't do it. I do believe he would listen to those around him. Looking in the comments though, you mean to have a backbone unlike Biden? No. Don, welcome to the program. Good to see you, Don. I haven't seen you in the program. It's good to see you in the comments. Acting unilaterally, I don't want to say that's having a backbone. Not when you're acting unilaterally on fields of expertise, which you have none. You know, if Fauci says to do something about the pandemic, Trump can act unilaterally, but Trump doesn't have any virology experience, war experience. You know, when or not to launch atomic attacks. Trump doesn't have any experience in this stuff. You know, that ain't a backbone, in my opinion. That's just being a hothead. When you start actually ignoring people that have devoted their entire lives and careers to do something, and you have not, and then you start going against their recommendations. That ain't a backbone. I don't see that. Looking in the comments, nothing changed my mind. Joe Mama, I would say, in regards to saying the debate, nothing changed your mind, I would say that probably applies to, I don't want to say 90%, but it's a fairly high number. Fairly high number of voters. What happened tonight is not going to change their mind. There are some liberals that may want Biden to be replaced, but they're not going to vote for Trump even if Biden remains in place. And by the way, before we had this debate, I'll go back to the box. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 60,000. Same on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. Get us on up to 90. We can make that happen. The top three dots at the top of your screen, smash that like button. By the way, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, you can find us here weekdays, 1 p.m. Central, 1300 hours, Monday through Friday. But changing your mind, as I stated before, maybe if it was Nikki Haley versus Biden or somebody that was more moderate, maybe even Chris Christie, but I know MAGA hates those people. But with Trump trying to take America in such a far right direction, I don't think the liberals are going to vote for Trump because Biden doesn't look like he's all there. I don't see it going. And by the way, I asked many folks who identify as MAGA a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, If Biden got on stage and sounded completely dignified and professional, would it change your mind? And they said no as well. So I don't. I would agree that it's not going to change many people's minds. Going back to the box, we will continue on with where the tacos. That's a unique name. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Did this debate change your mind at all, Taco?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me on. So the debate didn't really change my mind. I'll be honest. I do have more conservative values than liberal values. So obviously, I'm going to be a little bit more biased.
Now you're voting for Trump, then, right?
What's that?
So you are voting for Trump, correct?
This election, yes.
Okay.
Did I think he lost the primaries against the other candidates? I think Vivek should have won. But again, his platform is so freaking big. I think it was going to be hard to beat him anyways.
So you would have preferred Vivek Ramaswamy, though.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think Vivek might have a better chance against Biden. I don't know, but keep going.
Well, just to give you a little bit of credibility, so I was deployed during the Obama administration. So I know what it is to be in the Middle East and for like those Palestine topics. And I can say there was three questions that Trump did not answer, and I think it all starts from home. So for instance, like the abortion one, I think the main thing that I got out of that was that he was just giving it back to the state. So the people in the state can vote for whatever they want in their state. So that way, if New York wants something, then Mississippi don't got to deal with what New York wants. But if Mississippi has more conservative values, then Mississippi can go ahead and abolish abortion.
I'll let you continue with the other points. So let me just interrupt and say this in regards to giving it back to the states. First of all, nobody believes that. It's if the liberals were able to ban the AR-15 and they told you they're not going to go after any other gun, nobody would believe that. They would say that you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. I don't know why folks on the right don't think that applies in this case. I think at the end of the day, with Mitch McConnell, Mike Pence, Lindsey Graham, and even Trump himself admitting in public that it could end up going federal, everybody knows at the end of the day, if they can get their hands on a federal abortion ban, they're not going to stop at the states. I just think that right now, with the election coming up and not to get people up and in arms, they're going to say we're stopping at the states. But if you're truly about saving a life of an unborn, you're okay with that if the woman can get out of state and do it somewhere else? No, you want to save that baby's life. So the idea that we're going to stop at the states' rights, that's crazy.
Okay. That's I guess that's that's an argument that we can go both ways. Either way, I think it'll be a never-ending argument when it comes to abortion. Me personally,
not if Trump get elected, it won't. You'll find out real quick about what I'm saying. If Trump gets reelected and he can replace a couple Supreme Court justices, I just told you 4 prominent Republicans, Graham, Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell, and Trump himself have all said it could go federal. And Mike Pence, when he was running, said that was the goal of his presidency. Nobody on the right complained. Keep going.
Believe it or not, I think Mitch McConnell is just like Joe Biden, incompetent, and he's just all talk. When I grew up, I'm a 90s baby, so in the 90s, it was actions over words, and now people want politicians to speak pretty to them and tell them what they want to hear, but they don't really do anything, and you guys continue to be gaslighted, and it's like, we're continuing to be gaslighted. I still don't think it's a two-party system. I think it's just corruption and people trying to do things right. So I don't think it's a two-party system. On paper it is, in black and white it is. But I don't see how Republicans are the majority of one house or Congress, and then out of nowhere they're not doing anything.
Yeah. Now you said you believe Mike Pence is just all talk, and incompetent or whatever the case may be. When did that happen? Before or after he left Trump? Because Trump went and found this guy and made him vice president. Is it possible that Trump was blind to see what you saw? I mean, why didn't Trump know he was incompetent and all talk?
Honestly, I don't know why he chose Mike Pence. Me personally, again, with conservative values, him being a Christian man, I figured he would do, more Christian things, be more vocal, promote more Christian values. I'm not saying you have to be Christian or believe in God, but the principles of a Christian person, you would just follow that person. So I thought it was a great pick at the beginning, but obviously him not being able to trust the guy that he was running with, or his mate, the president.
What makes you say he couldn't trust Mike Pence?
No, I don't think Mike Pence trusted Trump.
Oh, well, Trump was trying to get him to do something that a lot of other Trump associates are now damn near going to prison for. So it sounds like he might have had a good reason not to trust Trump. A lot of people who took Trump's advice are now doing time.
Yeah, I tell you what though, sometimes prison is necessary. For instance, like Nelson Mandela, he went to prison. He was an innocent man.
Yeah. I don't know if history is going to judge the folks that went to like Rudolph Giuliani. I don't think history is going to judge him as being an innocent man.
Well, no man's innocent. Cast the first stone if you ain't do no sin. That's the way I look at it. But the other topics I just want to touch on that he didn't answer was
Sure.
Child care for mothers. I think personally, a way to fix child care is promoting more marriage, more fathers in the households. If fathers were more present in their children's lives, I think mothers would have it a little bit easier. But we're sexualizing this next generation, and since we're sexualizing everything, and we're giving, like for instance, abortion. Unfortunately, some women use it as a cop-out. Not every woman's doing it for sexual abuse or cases and that such, and they're just having a good time. But men have to be responsible as well. If you commit the act, you got to step up and take care of your children. And if men were to step up more and be more present in their child's lives, then I think
you ever stop to think that maybe if your party wasn't holding back the minimum wage for so many years on end, that men could have the money to step up and do some of the stuff you're recommending? Your party doesn't even want to raise the minimum wage. And a lot of the people you're talking about that are not doing this, they're at the lower end of the pay scale. Your party is against raising wages.
Well, listen, when it comes to minimum wages, let's face it, if you work at McDonald's, I don't think you should be making $15 an hour. I came from the gutter. I had rats, roaches in my house and all that stuff when I was little. I joined the military at 18 years old. I was in Afghanistan at 19. I'm a combat veteran now, and guess what? I have over a $500,000 house. And I came from the same spot as everybody else that starts from the bottom.
Well, I'll start by saying thank you for your service. Certainly, you're above the fray. But I will tell you this: in regards to minimum wage, a lot of folks always say, "Well, burger flippers shouldn't make $15 an hour." During the Trump administration, it was a hell of a lot more than just burger flippers not making $15 an hour. We're talking everybody from security guards, assistant teachers, school bus drivers, CNAs, folks, janitors, factory workers. It's a hell of a lot more than just kids making those low ass. We're talking about the fathers you believe should be helping their families that are making these low ass wages.
Okay, so let me ask you, what you have a cause and effect for everything. If minimum wages were to go up $15, what do you think the effect would be then?
People getting paid a decent salary, maybe less people on welfare.
So they get a decent salary, but how do the employers or the companies continue to create revenue after they lift those minimum wages? What do you think is going to happen with the menu? Will it stay the same price or will it change?
No, it would go up. But I have to push back and say this. They kept minimum wage has stayed the same for about 20 years. Guess what's been happening with the menu and the price of stuff? They've been raising it anyway. It ain't like
I got 4 kids that paid $4 for a small French fry each.
I don't think you heard what I just said. What I'm saying is this. Before Biden got in office, when the wages stayed low with Trump all the way back to the Bush administration, people were not making any type of additional wages, yet the price of those fries you're talking about still were going up. They may have not been $4, but they were still going up in price every damn year. So stuff is going to go up in price whether you get an increase in pay or not.
All right, so let me ask you: should the goal of an American, right, regardless of race, should the goal be just to work an 8 to 5, just to pay your bills at the end of the month, at the end of the week, and then repeat it again every week, or is it to be find some kind of financial freedom to get educated, not be ignorant, and just live in fear?
I don't think there's enough room in this country. I forgot your name down there. There's not enough. Taco, right. I don't think there's enough room in this country for everybody to be financially free. And by the way, those who are often pass laws to make it harder for those to get to that standpoint. So what you're saying sounds great, but there's not enough wealth and resources in this country for everybody to be financially free.
I think so. I think if we were less ignorant, because I work in the banking industry and I'm on my fourth house and I'm only 32 years old. So what I'm saying is, if people would just drop the music, drop the party life, and okay, education's perfect. I recommend everybody going to college. But if you stop being indoctrinated and living on a plantation mentally, I'm not talking about physically. Like, okay, because if you go to Cleveland, I'm from Cleveland. I'm from West 25th and Clark. I don't live there no more, but everybody right now in Cleveland is the majority of them live in a rental property instead of owning their own house. And if you go to Cleveland, you can buy a house for like $50,000. And what I'm saying is, living in Florida now, I'm like, damn, if I go over there, I can exploit it because everybody is conditioned to rent a home instead of buying a home. So what I'm saying is, it all starts in the house. Everybody wants government intervention, and instead of actually putting fundamentals in their children or a basis, a platform of value. So, for instance, like what I've heard on this podcast, whatever. Sorry, for some reason I get nervous when I talk.
Don't worry about it. Keep going. You're doing good.
So what I'm saying is, like for right now, our level of competence or our level of expectation for Joe Biden is whether he was cognitive or not. We're not discussing what he said. We're not discussing what he promised or what he's going to do for us. All we're just keep repeating over and over out of all the people that you invited on is, oh, he was just brain dead. I'm like, okay, besides the brain dead, did he promise anything? Did he achieve anything for us? And we're not asking those questions. We're just our low. I watch PBD a lot. So PBD podcast, Patrick Bet David.
Okay.
I don't sponsor them. But at the end of the day, they're very non-biased. They're like you. They lean right, but they try to play the middle. They try to play the middle, not try to put their biased opinions. But for the most part, we set the bar real low for what a presidential candidate should be.
Well, what do you? I mean, I don't know if I totally agree with you, because Biden got us out of a pandemic. Does he not get any credit for that? Huh?
Don't say that. His administration, his cabinet may have gotten us out of a pandemic.
You're telling me the president? Wait, hold on. You're telling me the president of the United States, who appoints all his cabinet members, do not get any credit for what they do?
All right. Let me backtrack this a little.
Please do.
When I say the president didn't do that, as you can see, his cognitive issues did not start today. They've been there since day one, or the second year in. His cognitive issues have been dropping, and nobody's been reporting it on a massive scale. They've always covered up. So what I'm saying is, a lot of these people, his administration, they walk him on stage. They tell him to get off the stage whenever reporters start asking questions. So we know that he's not making the decisions behind closed doors. He's just a puppet. So at least that's my opinion. Okay. And a lot of conservatives feel that way as well. So I do think his administration, like Mayorkas, and what's the other guy that's is Mayorkas the one in charge of the border?
Yes.
Like, so I can't blame Biden because Biden appointed Mayorkas, so Mayorkas should be doing the president's job and taking care of the border.
Yeah. So I don't know if I totally agree. Certainly, your comment about the pandemic, as far as I'm concerned, when Biden took office in the middle of the pandemic to where we are now, it has gotten significantly better. It happened under his watch. He deserves credit for that.
Okay, so when did Operation Warp Speed started?
It started under Trump.
Right. How many years did it take?
Well, we didn't get the first COVID cases until around November 2019. So the last year of Trump's presidency was when people were dying, and the vaccine was developed, or better yet, Operation Warp Speed kicked in during that time. But people were not even really getting vaxxed under Trump because he was giving such a bad message about it.
No, he wasn't. Pfizer and Moderna did not give anything until he lost the elections. Once they saw that he lost the elections, they released it when Joe Biden became president. Okay. So Joe Biden took the credit for Moderna, Pfizer, and all that stuff, but it was Operation Warp Speed that started it. Okay. But these pharmaceuticals, didn't want to release it until the presidential elections were over.
I didn't hear nothing like that. You telling me they deliberately held out on releasing the vaccine until the election was over?
Just look at the day that the election finished, and then look at the day that they released
Yeah,
me.
but then again, that don't mean that just because the dates coincide to what you're talking about, that don't mean it was done intentional. It may have taken that much time and research to get there.
Listen, you know how you a lot of left leaning people say, oh, the economy was only good under Trump because Obama left a good economy.
I give them credit for, it, but I do hear people say that all the time, and I
They
say it
say
on the
it all the
program
time
every time
because
when they
Obama
say
gave him
that.
the right. They say Obama gave him a good economy, but I can tell you from a proven witness of being underneath the Obama administration, as my commander in chief while I was in Afghanistan, we asked for a well for water. Because in Afghanistan, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of my background. So I was in the Paktia province on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan. I'm allowed to say this because I don't care about my commander in chief now, right? So I was on the border of Pakistan and Afghanistan, and all the water that we would get was from the river. If you've been to Afghanistan, if you've been in the ghettos and the slums of Afghanistan, all their water, the sewage, runs on the surface of the ground, and it runs all to the river. I had a shower with river water, and the water filtration system was put the water in one container, let it drain into another container, let it drain into another container, and go ahead and shower. That's your water.
You got to
So
make this make sense. Go
okay,
ahead.
I'll make it make sense for you real quick. So when we got out there, we had like a little dome, like the Israelis have a dome, but except it was a radar. We had missiles. I mean, we had mortar rounds coming hitting us. Our dome was down. We were sitting ducks for 3 months without that dome, and we couldn't fire back, even though we were getting hit every day. We also had river water to shower in, and we
Okay.
can't brush our
Okay.
teeth
So
with
you
that water.
clearly you're saying that they weren't taking care of you guys properly. So who are you blaming
Underneath
for
the
that?
Obama administration, and that's because we didn't have money. Apparently, it only cost $1.25 million to make that well. So then they said there was not enough money to put $1.25 million well there, but yet we leave $80 billion worth of equipment.
Yeah, I
So
mean
that
that could be anywhere from your commanding officer on up. I don't know if that goes all the way up to the president. I think you're taking a leap with that one.
the president's commander in chief. He's the one in charge of
Yeah, but
all
he
of
may
this.
not even knew what the hell you guys was going through. The
I'm
chain of
pretty sure
command
he
may
wasn't. Right, right.
right. So
So,
why are you
so
blaming him?
your administration is in charge to represent you in the place of. You can call me a liar if you want, whoever commented that, but I've been there. So, anyways, so what I'm saying is, as your administration appoints and makes decisions for the president, it still falls on the uh, um,
Yeah.
president's
I
lap. It
get your
doesn't fall.
point, and I'm certainly not going to call you a liar, but I will tell you this. Every president has military personnel telling them you don't give a fuck about us. Every one of them. There are military personnel right now that'll tell you under Trump they didn't receive enough parts, they didn't receive enough backup. Under Biden, under Bush, you name it. But you just happen to
All
be
right.
under Obama with that.
All right. So the generals that were appointed underneath Mr. Biden when they did the Afghan withdrawal, do you support those generals?
Do I support the botched Afghan withdrawal where 13 service people died? I don't know more of the story than just that. So I can't say I'm not going to throw the whole damn general career away because of what happened that day. Just
Okay.
like just like you would not throw Trump's career away based on what happened on January 6th.
Um, well, January 6th, it's a toss up because there's two reports. There's one where he said everybody be peaceful and be patriots and respect the law abiding citizens. And then you have the other group where it says, hey, all these people marched onto the Capitol and broke in. So we still don't have the complete facts because we
You
still have.
you do have one big blaring fact. They all were called there to stop the steal when Trump has not shown any proof at all that the election was stolen from him. That you do have.
All right. So do we have any records on Mike Epps yet?
No, but Trump said the election was stolen. The burden of proof should be on him to show you called these people here because something was being done. Prove to us that they came there. Some of them lost their freedom in their lives. Prove to us they didn't come there in vain. Show us why you told them to come there. He hasn't done that.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this question, because obviously you want proof, 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 proof. How
People
about
die.
you know?
I think that's a legitimate request. People died, man.
Okay, so how about this is a little bit off topic, but going back to like the DOJ and proof and stuff like that. If we look at the YSL case, Do you think that judge and the prosecutor is being fair in the YSL case?
I haven't followed that as much. I've heard people say that the judge is a bit harsh. He had the defense attorney held in contempt and locked up, but I haven't been following that real close. Is that the Young
Okay.
Thug case?
So the only reason why I brought that case up is because it proves that judges have biases, and Fannie Willis is appointing these judges the same way Trump is getting getting crucified because he keeps appointing Republican judges. This is happening on the state level.
Yeah, but that ain't got. I hear what you said. That ain't got nothing to do with what I said. I said Trump he owes these people who showed up on January 6th proof that the election was stolen. Fannie Willis ain't got nothing to do with that. He should have been way before she even charged him with a crime at all. Before any of these indictments came down the pipe, he should have proved to those folks, you did not come out here in vain. This is why the election was stolen from me. He has not done that.
All right. Well, it's gonna be hard because you're convinced that there's no evidence, but there's evidence put out there. But just because it wasn't produced,
give me some examples of some evidence that's out there that proves that the election was stolen from Trump. He won by a landslide. Give me the evidence you got.
Well, what I've seen are videos and clips of people putting tons of stuff in the mail-in box.
Okay.
I've seen clips.
I've seen 2,000 mules 6 times. I've seen 2,000 mules a half dozen times. Do you have any documents? When you see them putting stuff in the mailboxes?
I don't.
Right. Hold on. When you see them putting stuff in the mail,
like I got saved. No.
Okay, and that's the point. You see people stuffing mailboxes. You're assuming they're doing it on behalf of the Democratic Party. How do you know they weren't doing it on behalf of the Republicans?
No, I'm not saying it's on the behalf of Republican and Democrat. All I'm saying is that's enough suffice evidence to assume that a lot of these mail-in systems are not proper.
That ain't what Trump is. He's not alleging the mail-in systems could create fraud. He said the Democrats stole the election and he won it by a landslide. Where is the evidence of that?
Okay, well, fine. Look, Joe Biden won fair and square, but is it okay to assume that our election system is not the safest election system to have?
We can go into that, but just because our election system is not safe, don't mean you get to go around and say people are stealing it from you and you won by people died, man. People died. You don't get to just make up something like that.
Okay, but he has the freedom to speak his mind. What other people do, that's on their own intuition, or that's their own decision to make.
So he has the freedom to lie, and if somebody dies, then hey, so be it. I had the right to lie.
Hey man, some people where there's smoke, they try to find a fire.
And you're okay with him telling these folks the election was stolen from him, he won by a landslide, and even admitting, well, he had the freedom to say that with no evidence. You're okay with that?
Listen, man, at the time of that year alone, there was a lot of riots. There was a lot
that ain't got nothing to do with this. That you bringing up Black Lives Matter.
I understand. I understand that has nothing to do with the January 6th, but what I'm saying is that people were easily triggered that year. Everybody lost friends on social media. Everybody get mad if you talk about Trump. Everybody get mad to do this. It was just a matter of time when you take this fire and you push it towards where it really matters, at D.C.
Well, before you get into your Billy Joel, we didn't start a fire, understand that you're talking about that year, it was a lot of folks getting mad. We're in 2024, and he's still saying the election was stolen from him and he won by a landslide. What say you?
It still hasn't been proven.
Why? Why hasn't it been proven? If he's saying it for 4 years, does he ever have to eventually prove what he's saying? Or are we just good with him saying it?
Let me ask you a question then, because I don't want to ask a question with a question, but you're asking me this question. But why did it take 4 years for the Nancy Pelosi video to come out?
What do you mean the Nancy Pelosi video?
That she took blame for the January 6th for not calling in the National Guard.
I've heard of that. I haven't seen it, but as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the National Guard being called or not,
Pelosi is very important in this case.
How? If the election was not stolen from Trump and there was no steal taking place, why did the protests on January 6th even happen?
Well, according to Trump, because I don't know if it's true or not, he recommended to bring the National Guard in.
Right.
according to his words.
Right.
But they have on video recorded her in the back of SUV said, "Oh, that was my fault. I take full responsibility for what happened January 6th." You can go look up the video, or I can find it and DM you the video. But that video just got released maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I like to see the video, but before I'm moving on, I will have to ask you this though, because on January 6th, let's say what you're saying is correct, and it was Nancy Pelosi's job. I brought this up before, so many of my guests know where I'm going with this. But let's say you're correct, and it was Nancy Pelosi's job to provide the National Guard, and she failed at her duty. We know that Steve Bannon, Flynn, Giuliani, I think Mike Lindell and Trump spoke that day. So we're talking, a few hours of speeches. All of the men knew that the National Guard that Trump requested was not there, including President Trump. So he knew that the requested security he asked for was not present. Why would he send that crowd then to Capitol building, knowing that he requested security in this unsecured crowd? Why would he do that?
Because you're allowed to freely protest.
Why would you have security if you thought they were all friendly?
Okay, so I guess the lack of security that day, why was there a lack of security?
But that's what I'm asking you. If you know you requested security and the security is not there, why would you send them to a highly sensitive location like the Capitol building? Nobody's been searched. Nobody's been patted down. Why would you send that crowd to the Capitol building?
Listen, if there was a way to influence the elections, I'm sure I would have done the same thing. That's point blank. Like, if you could win by having a group of people protesting peacefully, I'm not saying I agree with what happened, but there was a lot of people being escorted into the building. There's a lot of people then were started rioting, and then, obviously it went out of hand. But what I'm saying is, if I can have my final say and convince them to, hey, let's question these elections and change the results, then that it was fair, then by all means go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah, and I get your point, and I will tell you this: if you were speaking at any insurrection trial, you will have just convicted Trump, because you just admitted the whole purpose of this was to influence the election. That's election interference. That's what they're going after him for. You're admitting that the whole purpose was to send him to the Capitol building to influence. Yeah, that's the crime. That's the insurrection part of it.
Before you let me go, because you asked me that last question, if I
Sure.
can ask you one last question.
Sure.
Facebook, Twitter also banned Trump from their social media platforms. They are private companies, and I do agree they have that right to do so. But if you're being paid by the left to censor and fact check the American people as well, don't you think that was an interference of elections?
I would say yes. Unfortunately, though, for Trump, with Pecker testifying at trial that he was doing the same thing for Trump with his media publication, the National Enquirer. The only difference is that Zuckerberg has a bigger media outlet than Pecker's, but it's clear that Trump was okay with that too. I mean, the whole, what was it, Ted Cruz's dad killed Kennedy? He admitted that they were releasing stories to help Trump out and hurt his adversaries. They were doing the same thing Zuckerberg did on a smaller level. I do got to move it on, man. No, Taco, good conversation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Going back to the box. And by the way, folks, when I say left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon, we do believe in free speech. Tap the screen. Feel free to drop a subscription on YouTube if you will. Follow the program on TikTok. And by the way, though, before I go to the next caller, it basically said the quiet part out loud. The goal of sending them to the Capitol building was to influence the election. That's what Trump is paying lawyers millions of dollars to not come out and say. But that was the goal, is to influence the transition of power. I mean, he literally convicted Trump while trying to defend him. Wow. Looking in the comments, what I found is Trump is never wrong and Dems are never right. Okay. All right. We all know that, Hanson. Yeah, but we all know it. But it's hard getting somebody to flat out admit it like that. Going back to, and he certainly admitted it. I mean, he certainly said to influence the election. Those voting Biden, you're going to take in an illegal and basically pay them to live with you. The point being is, if you're going to be for, I guess, open borders or letting illegal stay here, then why ain't you taking in one? Well, There's a flip side to that coin. Those who are pro-life that are going to force these moms to have kids. How many of them are you going to adopt or support? So I get your point, but understand one can be made right back at you. If you're going to force all these babies to be born, how many of them are you willing to let your tax-paying money cover? Maybe some of these kids need diapers and wipes, or maybe some of them need an outright adoption. Are you going to do that? Looking in the comments, never seen a guy live for an entire debate and still win, but he did. Still voting against Trump, says Rickety Cricket. Let me go back to the box. I appreciate you guys rolling with your boy at this late hour. Maybe we can get to 100,000 likes if you tap the screen. Certainly can get up to about 80 if you do now. Same on YouTube. Tap, better yet, smash that like button. As always, 1 p.m. Central, 1300 hours, weekdays, Monday through Fridays, when you'll find the program. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. When I say we are MAGA friendly, that is with the utmost sincerity. So understand the program is open to virtually anyone on the political spectrum. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comments section. You damn sure don't have to agree with the host. Looking in the comments, though, a few weeks before January 6th, FBI had notified the White House, Pelosi, and Mitch McConnell there may be trouble at the Capitol, and that's why Trump requested the National Guard but got turned down by Pelosi. Look, as I stated with my last caller, I'm not even going to argue. If Pelosi's job was to provide the National Guard, I'm not even going to debate that. I'm going to say, even if Pelosi failed to do her job, fact is Trump and his co-speakers knew the National Guard was not present for several hours before they sent those folks to the Capitol building. That's on Trump. You know that that Nancy Pelosi, if it's her job to provide security, you know she has failed at doing that. At that point, it is your responsibility to make sure that crowd doesn't go to why would you send them to the Capitol building if you know they don't have security there? That's his fault at that point. You don't get to blame that part on Nancy Pelosi. That's all I'm saying. Is you knew the security that you requested is not there. That should make you take evasive action. Maybe we need to cut this short or something of that nature. You certainly wouldn't take that crowd that's in front of you and then move them to a different location where a lot of sensitive targets are at play. That's his fault for that. So I don't, and by the way, I would ask this question as well. When the request was that Nancy Pelosi provide the National Guard, the National Guard would be there when Trump was speaking, Bannon, Flynn, Giuliani, all those folks were speaking. The National Guard would be providing security. You wouldn't move the crowd 2 miles away, but expect the National Guard supposed to follow the crowd? Is that how that works? You got the venue where you're having your protest. And the National Guard is there protecting everybody and providing security. And then you deliberately move the crowd to somewhere else that's 2 miles away. And the National Guard just has to unroute themselves and all their vehicles and everything and drive with the crowd. And they didn't notice ahead of time that you were going to move them. There's some screw up of Trump in that as well. All of that don't fall on Nancy Pelosi. I mean, there was nowhere in there where Trump stated, we're going to have a rally here, then we're going to move it 2 miles away. Now, I see in the comments somebody says that's their job. No, it's your job, first of all, if you're hiring security, to tell them where the event is they're going to secure. You don't just move it at random and expect them to just follow you like that. Trump screwed up there that day. Even if Nancy Pelosi did too. I'm not even going to debate whether it was Nancy Pelosi's job or not. I know the January 6th Hearings Committee disagrees that she wasn't supposed to do that, but let's say she did. That doesn't mean Trump did nothing wrong. You don't send that crowd knowing your request of security is not there. You don't send that crowd to the Capitol building. You know it's unsecured. That's on him at that point. Randy, good evening, rather. Welcome to the program. They would have been at the Capitol already by request, which was denied. And that's another thing, too, is that they had told Trump ahead of time the Capitol building was closed. When they got the permit to protest, they were told at that time, and that's on recording, you can protest, but don't go to the Capitol building. It's closed. Trump sent them to the Capitol building completely by surprise. Why would Nancy Pelosi help Trump? She was on a committee to impeach Trump. That's true. Randy, good evening. Randy, are you there?
Hey, hello, brother.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Did you catch the debate?
I did part of it. I just wanted to tell you that I have so much respect for you. You're a very smart individual.
Wow.
And I wish that we would focus some of our energy back toward trying to everybody being on an equal basis. You know, we have so much division. I think you've got a lot of power and a lot of influence, and it would be nice to see you put some of that energy back into trying to unite our country back together.
Well, that's why you have a program that goes left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with QAnon. In terms of callers, I have you. I mean, I got a lot of MAGA here, a lot of liberals. I got progressives. I got independents. I got RFK supporters, all listening to you right now. This, in terms of a social media page, this is about as unified as they come, man.
Well, I mean, you know, there's nobody in here that, I mean, I've followed you for a long time. I go to your lives all the time and sit and listen. You're very intelligent. I've watched you in other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of respect for you. You you actually are a very intelligent person. You're somewhat informed on the Democrats. No,
Hey, that's why I'm here. I don't have all the answers. Sometimes I like to talk to the folks. I don't want to ever come across as a know-it-all because I damn sure don't know everything. I learn a lot from you folks on all sides of the aisle. I do appreciate the compliment, though, man. So, what did you think of the debate, though?
you know, I watched the debate. I mean, you know, it just what I got from the debate was you got two. I mean, I've always felt I'm older. I'm 66 years old, and since I was a kid, I've always said that the president is really not that important. It's who we have in Congress and the Senate is the important people because they're the ones that make the final decisions on things. But I guess I raised a big family. I have 3 daughters and 3 sons, and one of my sons has passed away from a fentanyl overdose.
Wow.
And it really last year, and I live in Texas, and it's really sad to me.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Oh well, thank you very much. It's really sad. It's hard to bury one of your children.
Yeah.
Hardest thing I've ever done, and it's really sad to me to see all of the deaths that are going on in our country from some of the poor decisions that are being made.
What do you mean?
And,
Give me some examples.
well, like you know, all the illegal immigration that's coming over the border and the Mexican cartels bringing all this fentanyl over here, and I mean, you know.
Yeah. Let me say this, and yeah, my condolences to you for and burying your own child's got to be hard. But one of the things I will say, I hate to push back considering your circumstances, but Americans have never had a hard time getting high. We had the war on drugs. We've had Trump claimed under Trump's watch, he claimed the border was the most secure it had been in generations. Nobody had a hard time getting high under Trump either. Fact is, the reason there's fentanyl in this country to the level there is not because the border is not taken care of. It's the demand. The demand for those drugs is very high. I don't care if Trump gets in or if Trump got in office right now, you're not going to have a drought on fentanyl. The demand is too high. You can easily find Americans that work for ICE, border security, or whatever the case may be. Hell, maybe even some of your senators that'll look the other way for enough money. And the cartels have an infinite supply of money. That's not going away under Trump. I think if Trump gets in office, he would certainly be better for the border than Biden by far, in my opinion, because I believe Trump would take it all the way up to and including loss of life to defend the border. I think he would do whatever it took. But when it comes to narcotics, the demand in America is so strong, that's not going to stop. But Trump would stop hotel workers, farmers, construction folks, them folks working those menial jobs, I think he would stop them from coming in here. But cartel members who had access to billions of dollars, he's not going to stop them. And he's not going to stop the drugs that they carry.
Uh, well, I guess the situation with the beautiful young 12-year-old
Yeah,
girl that
I'm aware. The two Venezuelans that assaulted her sexually, then strangled her. Yeah, I'm aware of it.
well, and then the girl in Georgia. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
the
just
runner. Yeah,
it's. I know it's probably blown out of proportion to some degree.
it is very much blown out of proportion. Now, fact is, even one American losing their lives to an illegal immigrant is too many, too much. But the fact is, yeah, you stated it properly. It is very much blown out of proportion. According to Trump the other day, you got 18 million illegals in this country that came in under Biden. I think Trump is lying about that, but he said under Biden, 18 million have come in. It should be way more than just a handful of murders and rapes. I mean, people should be getting raped and murdered everywhere. If those folks coming in illegally are as bad as Trump says they are, you shouldn't even be to bury all of the victims. It should be people dead everywhere. So I agree with you, it's bad, but it is blown out of proportion at atomic level. It's insane how bad they're trying to make this sound, and it's not.
You know what I think about every day? I think about if you lose a finger on your hand.
Right.
We take our hands for granted. We can move all of our fingers and we can push the buttons on our phone and we can do all that stuff. If you lose one of your fingers, then you become sympathetic to other people that have lost fingers.
Okay.
And so when you lose a child, you become hyper sympathetic for other people that lose
Right.
children because it's a real heartache. But I guess I just feel like that if something happened in our country today to where all of a sudden we lost our power or we lost the ability to be able to go to a grocery store and buy our food or whatever, or we lost the internet, we lost our water supply, whatever it might be, due to inadequate vetting of our country, then this country would go into total chaos in a matter of days.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important.
I
think
agree.
it's
I agree.
important that we
Yeah, I'm not going to deny. I think Biden has done a miserable job at the border. I'm not supporting Biden's border policies. I'm just simply saying, as bad as Biden is at the border, I think that Trump has just blown. To me, the truth is good enough. I believe that Trump is telling a lie when the truth will do. The fact is, there are some folks that are losing their lives that shouldn't because of folks coming in this country. But you don't need to make it sound like there are 18 million rapists and murderers in the country to get your point across. I think he's really telling us a lie when the truth probably would be sufficient.
Well, think about it like this. Let's just say there's 10 million, or let's just say there's 5 million people that have crossed. Let's say 3 million.
Okay.
Let's just say 3 million people have crossed over. I mean, they've been crossing over my entire life. I can remember back when I was a kid, being in far South Texas, and people over there wanted.
Yeah, just like I told you with the fentanyl, the demand is huge for these people. They're not just coming to get welfare and free health care. There's a lot of Americans that want these people in the country. The demand is, which is why I don't believe the wall would be super effective, because the problem is coming from in the house. It's like let's say you had a daughter. I mean, I hate to say because I know what happened to your child, but let's just say for fictional purposes, you had a daughter and you didn't want your daughter to be promiscuous. She was, you wanted to stop her from sneaking out of the window or whatever, or a boy sneaking in her house. So you built this huge wall around your home. If she gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning and opens up the door and lets the guys in, doesn't matter how high the wall is. America is going to let them people in because there's a lot of people that want drugs and cheap labor. The wall ain't gonna stop that. The problem is here. And Trump is not suggesting that he wants to arrest and lock up Americans that are co-conspirators. He's making it sound like the immigrants are navigating all this shit by themselves. No, the immigrants are being invited here by people who don't want to pay American labor wages. Until you go after that, it's not going to end. Just like there's a lot of people who want the fentanyl. Until you remove the demand, the supply is going to be there.
You're exactly right. But I go back to the. I want to go back because I have wanted to hear your opinion on this. Say that with all the wars that are going on, and I guess Trump says that we're close to World War III. We don't want that.
No. But as I just mentioned, Trump says 18 million illegals are in the country. He had the best economy in U.S. history. He done more for blacks since anybody since Abraham Lincoln. He knows more about COVID than anybody. He knows more about the. Trump says these wild statements. So even though you may favor Trump and his policies, and there's a lot of legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. I'm not saying voting for Trump is a bad thing. There are reasons to vote for him, but you got to take what he says with a grain of salt. I mean, he's known for literally blowing up everything.
Well, that's all politicians.
No, everybody don't go that wild with it. Oh, he goes way beyond what a typical politician does. And by the way, he was elected to not be a typical politician.
That's exactly right. And I think one of the reasons that presidents like Ronald Reagan and stuff like that were so popular is because they made the same wild accusations just in jokes, where Trump just comes out with it.
Well, the fact is, as you put it, it's a wild accusation. We can say if it's a joke or what. The fact is, it's not true. At the end of the day, the accusations are not true. 18 million illegals have not come in this country under Biden. They're not. Most illegal immigrants are not coming here to rape and murder people. I mean, the stuff he said, people are not aborting babies in the 10th month. I mean, I'm not saying the liberals are doing a fantastic job of running this country, but what I'm saying is Trump is making up wild stories, and there are people that believe that stuff. I mean, that stuff is not accurate.
What do you think about the state of our country financially, the state of our infrastructure, the state of your health and your family's health, and if you have any children, the future of your children, versus giving billions and billions and billions of dollars to fought wars over in Ukraine and Israel? What's your viewpoint on all that, instead of just reinvesting into our own country? And if Trump claims that he can stop the war in Ukraine in one day, do you believe that?
I do believe if Trump was in office, the war in the Ukraine would not have happened. In regards to giving money overseas as opposed to investing it in this country, I don't believe there's any legitimacy to that at all, because the money we're sending to the Ukraine just was attacked by Russia in February of 2022, I believe, 2 years ago in February. Notice how, because everybody's saying instead of sending the money overseas to Ukraine, we should take care of Americans first. Notice how you don't hear any Republican politicians bragging about what they were doing for Americans before the money went overseas. Nobody is saying, we're sending Ukraine $50 billion. Before we did that, we used to be able to make sure kids had something to eat in schools. Or we used to make sure, people had somewhere to stay and there wasn't as many homeless. They're not using anything that they were doing because they weren't doing it. So at the end of the day, it's really just saying, I don't want to help the Ukraine. If you don't want to help the Ukraine, I understand that. But you don't have to come and make it sound like if you weren't helping the Ukraine, you'd be helping out a bunch of Americans. I mean, we know what happened when folks talked about tuition forgiveness, when folks talked about universal health care, folks talked about a minimum wage increase. There's no desire to help out folks in this country, whether we're giving money to the Ukraine or not, because the stuff I'm bringing up was being resisted before we sent the dime to Ukraine. They were already resisting helping people out. So I don't know why people are making it sound like if that money was here, people would be doing better. There's a lot of evidence to suggest otherwise. Go ahead.
What do you think about our current infrastructure and whatnot? Like our roads and our electrical grid. They talk about our electrical grid. You take it out and 2 minutes, you know.
I don't see where, it's really over the years. I mean, I've been able to go, I've lived in multiple different U.S. cities. Turn the light switch on, the lights come on. I don't see where our infrastructure is just, I mean, I drive a lot of miles every day. I mean, most of my lives are in my car because I drive so damn much. I used to be an over the road driver. There are years where I've done 100,000 miles in a van in a single year delivering freight. I didn't have any problem driving on roads. I've been in all of the 48 lower states. I've been in back roads. I've been in rural Mississippi. I've been up in Maine. I've been over in Tacoma, Washington. I've been in every corner. The infrastructure's all right, man. It's not falling apart like folks may say. I've been on those roads.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, I'll be praying for you, and I hope that you're guided to spread your intelligence to other people and help unite people together, and not only create a debate, but also create positivity that will help people to make good decisions and love each other for a change.
Thank you kindly, Randy. Come on back anytime. My door's always open to you, man. Hey, moving the program on, by the way, tap the screen, get the likes on up to, we're right at 100,000 on TikTok, so we might be able to get 110 if you guys let your thumbs not be lazy. Certainly getting into the late hours, so I'm going to wrap it up shortly, but I did want to talk to you folks about how you felt about the debate. I'm not a big fan of Biden's performance. By the way, on YouTube, feel free to smash that like button, get me on up to 140, so they can do that. I knew I liked you for a reason, Tim, fellow trucker. Mikey, partially. I was an expediter, drove for Panther, Barrett, a few other trucking companies, but I was an expediter in a van, so I did not drive a big rig. I was in a van, 6 skids or something like that, so I didn't do it from a trucker standpoint, but I was obviously in the industry, running the same routes and basically doing the same thing you're doing. Yeah, whatever Trump does, something he has to add that someone who was never present to verify said, you are the best at X, Y, and Z, Mr. Trump. Yeah, I don't think that, thank you, Mr. Mikey L. Says it's all good. Appreciate that. Same out to you. I think that the over exaggeration sometimes hurts Trump's credibility. I mean, listen, under Trump, the employment rates were pretty damn good in the African American community. Just come out and say that. All of this shit about you've done more for blacks since anybody since Abraham Lincoln. I just think Trump is really good at exaggerating, and a lot of his supporters like that stuff. But it's just not true. A lot of them huge exaggerations. I know more about COVID. I know more about the war than the generals. That stuff is, I mean, for lack of a better term, we'll say exaggerations, but in reality, that's a lie. It's not true. I mean, it's like me going around and saying, I'm packing 12 inches. I mean, it's just a lie, and he does that a lot. Not exaggerating this a lot. I'm giving him. I'm trying to be positive and say it's exaggeration, but yeah, there's no difference between an exaggeration and a lie. Biden is not helping our country, says I can't even pronounce the name. Depends on what side of the aisle you lean on. Depends on what side of the aisle you lean on. Now, I'll tell you this right off the bat. Even if Biden didn't give us a single policy, some folks are going to say he helped the country because he got rid of Trump. For some people, the folks you guys refer to as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes you guys call it. Some folks dislike Trump enough that anybody who gets rid of Trump, that alone is worthy of accolades. So he did do that. I've mentioned before, could you say Biden hasn't done anything? I mean, if Trump gets reelected, he gets to appoint two more Supreme Court justices. I think it's very likely, extremely likely that he could convince Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito to step down for the good of the party and allow him to appoint younger people. If Biden stops that, a lot of folks would consider that as Biden doing something good, because if Trump makes those appointments, there is America at that point. The America being a country that is somewhat moderate, that's over with. If Trump gets to make two more appointments, maybe even potentially getting to appoint as many as four more appointments, because Sotomayor and Roberts are 69. Everybody don't live to be 80. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it's a possibility. I mean, Sotomayor and Justice Roberts are both 69. It's a possibility one of them may not make it. But Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito, wow, Denkow. Thank you for that. Thank you for that train there. Wow, thanks, Denkow. Um, would Justice Alito and Clarence Thomas being very favorable to Trump, I don't think it would be hard at all to convince them to step down, ride off into the sunset, be heroes of the Republican Party, and let him appoint some far right wingers that are in their late 40s or 50s. We know Clarence Thomas like gifts, so it'd be real easy to do. So he would guarantee to get two more appointments. So when you say Biden hasn't done anything, he probably would get credit if Biden wins again, even if he's completely kooky and out of his damn mind, for stopping America from remaining hardcore right for another 40 years. Because that's is likely what will happen if Trump gets reelected. You won't see America anywhere near the center for most of our remaining days on earth. I know in my case that'll be it. That'll be it. America will be right, fairly far to the right of center. Not center right a little bit, but fairly far to the right of center for the remainder of my life. So if Biden stops that, he keeps America somewhat balanced. To some people, that alone is a victory. Going back to the box though, and that's even if Biden does nothing else for America. Just simply stopping that is a win to some people. Going to the box. Denkow, good evening.
What's happening, man?
Not much. Did you catch the debate?
I did, man. Shoot. Hey, the Biden train. I'm still on it. I seen the guy with the blue liquid. And I told him, look.
So you were agreeing with Bill Maher. You would still vote for Biden if they had his head in a jar of blue liquid.
Listen, I am going to replicate a Trump voter. I am going to say that they said the campaign said that he had a cold tonight.
Ain't nobody believing that bullshit. Let me stop you. I'll let you continue, but saying that Biden had a cold after that poor performance, that does sound like some MAGA shit. Ain't nobody believing that. I mean, he might have had a cold, by the way, but ain't nobody believing that.
I'm saying I'm open to having the same mind frame that they do.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing that they do. I'm going to say, look, hey, he was off his game tonight, but if you go line for line and you look at and you don't look at their physical appearance and you go line for line, Trump did nothing but lie.
Yeah.
He said he said that when he was in office, America had the cleanest water and air ever in the history of the world.
I don't know why he does that, Denkow. That's what I was just saying before you came on here. Them wild exaggerations. I don't know why he does that.
Come on, man. You can't. Look, I'd rather look at Biden look sleepy and say some things that are true than to listen to this guy that's energizing and lying through his damn teeth.
Yeah, I don't. And by the way, Fuzzer, thank you for that subscription. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't. I mean, what Trump did, everything he said tonight certainly was not 100% honest. But don't wild claims like that, where this was the best or that was the best in history. I think even the individual that moderately watches politics knows that stuff is not true. And certainly when it comes to the African American community, suggesting he's done more for blacks than anybody since Abraham Lincoln. I don't think there's one black on earth that believes that. I don't know where that came from.
Right, but when he says it, it's very easy to go to the DOL, the Department of Labor, and see that under Trump, the low mark was about 5.2, I want to say 5.2%. Under Biden, the low level for black unemployment was 4.8. Like, I don't even understand why we have to keep having these conversations about who had the lowest.
The reason you have to have these conversations because Trump does what a politician should do. He goes out there and sells himself. Biden leaves it up to you to come up.
No, he goes goes out there and lies.
Well,
That's
okay.
not selling yourself.
I mean, a lot of salesmen lie. You know, my vacuum is the best vacuum in history. I mean, they do lie. I get it. But I'm saying that Trump goes out there and sells himself to the people. A lot of, like I mentioned before, Trump has promised to give cops immunity, or the fact that Trump would get Supreme Court justices. The liberals ain't talking about that shit. Trump would be all over that. Trump would be making sure people knew if you put them in there, America's going to be far left forever. That's what Biden should be doing. So that's not helping him out. That he's not. And by the way, if Biden don't want to do it because he's getting older, beg Obama, Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, beg those people to get out there and talk.
What did he just say tonight? What did Biden just say tonight about what he was trying to do for fentanyl? When he told them that in that bill that the Republicans shot down because of Trump was those machines that detect fentanyl from where it's coming across at the border. They shot it down talking about where it was too much other stuff in the bill, which is so stupid because they still got the money for Ukraine.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense that you tell the Democrats, hey, we're not going to pass anything for foreign aid unless you put something in there for the border. Yeah. And then they do that. They put something in there for the border, and you say, no, we're not going to pass it at all. And then they strike out the stuff for the border, and then you pass the stuff.
Yeah. You and I both know when it comes to securing the border, if they had a choice between securing the border now or leaving it a mess for a year and Trump being reelected, they would be totally okay with leaving it as a mess, which is what they chose. But I want you to hear this. This is a little bit off topic, but I ain't seen nothing this wild all night. Juice in the comments, Juice197 says, liberals want to change the gender of cats. Where the hell's that coming from?
Bro, I'm not going to waste my little bit of time with you on that question. And what I want to do, what I do want to say is that people are talking about we're close to World War III and everything. Yeah. What I want to remind people is that Vladimir Putin is homicidal. He's not suicidal. He doesn't want to die.
True.
He keeps talking this talk every time we give them new weapons and this is across the line. Putin is not going to launch any nuclear attacks.
Right.
Period.
You're talking about mutually assured destruction.
Yeah, he's not going to do it.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Quickly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
These things quickly because I know you got a time frame.
They're going at best they would saber rattle, but I agree with you. Putin is not interested in getting involved in a nuclear conflict.
No. He got all he can handle right now with Ukraine. He does not want to take on any more direct conflict. Yeah. Because he's struggling with the little bit that we're giving him.
Right. It's like with the Ukraine, it's like remember the Rock'em Sock'em robots where you control the little things that were fighting back in the day. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that, but yeah. If we can actually control the Ukraine and knock you out with Ukraine's hands, imagine what's going to happen if you fight us directly. So if we're making the Ukraine give Russia hell, I don't think they want any part of the United States right now. You can't even beat the gifts we're giving them. We're not even giving them the best and brightest weapons. I mean, they're not flying F-22s over Moscow. We will. So, yeah, I don't think that Russia is trying to take on the United States right now. That doesn't make any sense to me. But the World War III threat scares everybody, and it's somewhat working for Trump.
Right. But what I want to ask those people who think that Trump's policies towards Russia would be the best thing, let's just follow it through its natural progression. If Trump gets in office and he rescinds all of the funding for Ukraine, Putin gets to take whatever parts of Ukraine he wants to, and then he doesn't advance anywhere while Trump is in office. But Trump only has 4 years.
Right.
Once Putin is out, do they not think that he's going to touch other NATO?
You mean once Trump is out? You mean once Trump is out?
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Once Trump is out, do they not think Putin will not touch any of those European countries that are in NATO?
Yeah.
Which would mean that we would be bound by Article 5 and we would be in direct conflict.
Yeah. I don't have any argument for that. I will say this. I think out of the entire political spectrum in this country, going from far left progressives all the way over to MAGA, everything from traditional conservatives, traditional Democrats, independents, everybody in the middle, the only group that believes we should not be helping out the Ukraine is MAGA. Everybody else on the scale, from traditional Republicans all the way over to far left progressives, believe we should be helping out the Ukraine. Plus, all of our allies. MAGA is the only group that is saying it's not a good idea to help out the Ukraine. So, I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But all of the traditional, the Bushes and Romney types, traditional Republicans, they all believe we should be helping out the Ukraine. And then, like I said, right on through the independents, through the Democratic Party, right on through the progressives, all of our allies in the region, the Romanians, the Polands, they all believe we should be helping the Ukraine. They all believe that Russia, Putin, will not stop at the Ukraine. So it is what it is.
Right. And then when you ask them, okay, if we stop funding Ukraine, what policies would you like to support that support the American people? What's their answer?
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen, Cal. You know how the hell works. All right, man. I gotta move it on, but you know it is what it is. A lot of folks fall for it, man.
Before you let me go, I just want to comment real quick on that young guy that you had that was a military veteran, and he said he had been over there, and he said that when he was over there under Obama, somehow they didn't get the things that they needed in their battalion, so somehow he blamed the president of the fucking United States.
Well, they blame Hillary Clinton and Obama for Benghazi too, though.
I am look, I'm a 20+ year veteran. What happens in each command on each individual level, whether we believe it, whether we believe that we're not getting the assets or resources that we need, the president allocates all of those hundreds of billions of dollars for us to do what we need to do. It has nothing to do with the president of the United States if he doesn't get a urinal that he enjoys, or if he doesn't get if he doesn't get the crunchy toilet paper. He doesn't get the soft and smooth toilet paper that he likes. It's got nothing to do with the president. That's his direct chain of command. Yeah. And what I will ask that guy is, since he's doing so great now, and he's got this big $600,000 house, and he's doing so great, ask him how his investments are doing under Joe Biden. Ask him to take a look at his portfolio, and if everything is so bad, tell him I got a guy that can help him out with his portfolio. Because if he's not doing well in this economy, then it's something wrong with him.
Fair enough. Now, some folks though are suggesting their 401ks are not doing good under Biden, though.
Well, then they're invested in the wrong things, because there's no way the stock market is at its all-time high, and their portfolios are not doing well. They're not diversified, and they need to call me because I know a guy.
All right, then, Cal. Appreciate it, man. Good talk. Catch you tomorrow. Thanks.
All right, peace.
All right. Looking in the comments, though. Whoa. M. Bagley. Wow. Fucking awesome. Wow. I was just about to turn it. Appreciate that. Wow, that was beautiful. Real quick, I want to go to Keisha. I want to hear your opinion of what you saw this evening. Biden versus Trump. Keisha, I'm sure you tuned in. What say you?
I'm very disappointed.
I
really am.
Why? What makes you disappointed?
Biden looked weak. He was fumbling. I always say he has a stutter, and he does, but Biden didn't look like he was feeling well, and he probably should have stayed home.
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed. Even though he still said some good things, but he it would have been better if he could have said it
with strength.
With strength.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because Trump stood over there and lied with strength. So when I tell you, listen, the Bible said a lie would not tear in the kingdom of heaven. Trump ain't nowhere near the kingdom. Trump told so many lies tonight, baby, you just need to call Trump a liar-holic. But
a liar-holic. I've never heard of that.
Liar-holic.
Damn.
The reason Trump could lie so good and make it sound so good and not fumble what he said, because these are lies that he's been telling ever since he's been in office. So they packed in his mind, and he has no choice but to bring them out. Because if you listen, he says the exact same thing every time he speaks. But Biden disappointed me.
I'll agree with you that Trump does exaggerate and tell some lies, but like you pointed out, he says it over and over again, kind of like a comedian that figures out what material works and they keep using it from city to city. If Biden took a page out of Trump's playbook, he would be a much more successful politician. I mean, even though everything Trump is saying is not true, it does work. People do believe that stuff. If Biden was going around touting the infrastructure bill, the CHIPS Act, or whatever you want to go with, over and over again, like Trump, it's the best CHIPS Act we've ever had. The infrastructure is better than you've ever had anywhere in the world. Right. If he was doing that, he would be a stronger politician.
Yeah, now I did enjoy the cheap shots, though.
Yeah, I got a few of them on.
Everybody was throwing Trump, but I did want the MAGA to answer the question: what is a black job?
What is that? Almost sounds racist. What is
a black job, handsome?
Yeah, that almost sounds racist.
I said they're taking the black job. What is the black job, handsome?
I can tell you what it is in the 1800s. I can't tell you now.
Okay, that was very offensive to me. You know, the black job. Yeah. But yeah, Biden disappointed me tonight. But it didn't change my support, because, like I said, I don't care if he on hospice and they got to bring him in the Oval Office with a hospital bed, and he just got to put an X and mark the spot by his signature. I'll pick him any day over Donald Trump.
Oh my! So you talking about like Senator Feinstein, where they literally were doing it to Senator Feinstein before she died, telling her what to vote for.
I don't even care, handsome.
All right.
I don't care.
So what do you think? I mean, obviously Biden did not perform well in terms of his health, but do you believe he still is likely to win in November?
Let me say this. We got a lot of work to do before November.
Wow.
Because let me tell you, we're disappointed because what we saw in the State of the Union, we were expecting to see tonight.
Exactly.
And it was a big letdown that we did not. So now, where we were so assured in our candidate, we kind of a little disappointed right now. You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. You're pointing out that Trump told lies, but in my opinion, you're saying we expected to see what we saw from Biden during the State of the Union. I think we also were expecting to see Trump like he did in the first debate with Biden, where the guy had to yell, "Won't you shut up, man?" Right, Trump actually performed better than we would expect.
I'm finna go on and give you some MAGA stuff. Trump was on some downers. They had medicated him, and that's why he was able to control himself, and that's why he was able to just be quiet after he made his statement, because he was on drugs.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna do them just like they did Joe Biden for the State of the Union. Trump was on some downers.
But it's not it. But the problem is, it's not gonna be as believable, because the fact is,
it doesn't matter. Okay. And then too, he didn't sniff any of that cane, because he wasn't sniffing tonight either. Did you notice that?
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Did you notice he wasn't sniffing?
Yeah. He didn't sniff. I get it.
Yeah, he hadn't been on that cane today. So, he wasn't amped up.
Oh, my God.
But, yeah, Biden was a disappointment. I'm not going to even lie.
All right. But at the end of the day, you don't want a red hat? No chance?
I wouldn't want a red hat if it was on a yellow brick road to the Wizard of Oz. No, thank you, handsome. I'm gonna stick with the blue. Like I said, I don't care. I'm gonna vote for Biden regardless.
All right. All right, Takesha, have a good night. I appreciate you staying up. I saw you on hold. Thank you for rolling with your boy.
You too, sweetie.
Absolutely. Take care of that cough. You don't want to sound like Biden tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate the 125,000. Biden had a few drinks tonight. You and his cough. God. She's talking about Biden like Trump supporters do about Trump. Now, why can't vote for felon either? I'm assuming you're saying you're not voting for felon. Timmy, did you look up inflation? I'll tell you something. In regards to Biden's economy, Bidenomics is not working and things like that. I mentioned this earlier in the broadcast. I also mentioned it earlier this afternoon when we were doing our traditional program. By the way, if you guys do enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, 1 p.m. Central is when you'll find us. Weekdays, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Central, 1,300 hours. One of the things I mentioned, Biden's economy sucks and, the border and things like that. I cannot tell you how important it is to realize the difference between chess and checkers. 10 years from now, Biden's gas prices, Biden's border, Biden's economy will be an irrelevant discussion. 10 years from now, nobody's talking about Biden's gas prices. If Trump wins and he appoints a replacement to Alito and Thomas, you'll still be dealing with them 10, 15, 20, maybe 25 years from now. I'm just saying that because a lot of folks are pointing out Biden's economy, and that's the reason they're potentially going to vote for Trump. I would submit to you those Supreme Court picks are way more important than that. Economies come and go. Even if Trump could get the gas prices down to $1.50 a damn gallon, those Supreme Court picks are more important. They are far more important. They could be historical. As I just stated, whatever happens to the price of fuel is going to change. It's not going to be part of a conversation in 10 years. That's over with. Nobody's still talking about what gas prices cost under George W. Bush. But his Supreme Court picks are still there. So that is far, far more important. So, that's far, far more important. So I just want folks to understand there's a difference between playing checkers and playing chess. If you lean right, then shit, you should be voting for Trump all damn day. But if you lean left, or if you are an independent, those Supreme Court picks should be fairly important to your decision, in addition to just trying to get cheap gas or get the economy back on par. I mean, let's say Biden gets in for 4 more years and the economy sucks. Well, the next guy may come in and straighten it out. But those Supreme Court picks are going to be riding along the line the whole time. They're not going anywhere. So, figure out the difference between checkers and chess. And understand that you probably should keep your eyes on the longer prize as opposed to something that is a quick fix, such as getting the price of fuel down. Anyhow, folks, it is well past my bedtime. I do appreciate you tuning in. As always, we'll be back on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central. Subscription on YouTube, if you will. Follow the program on TikTok. See you at 1 p.m. Central tomorrow. It is indeed your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'm taking my ass to bed. Thank you. YouTube, Biden plays with checkers while Trump plays 5D chess. That is, if you vote for Trump because Biden's economy sucks, that is exactly true. That is exactly true. Trump would be playing 5D chess over Biden playing checkers. That is true. I agree with that. Most people didn't vote for Biden. Most people voted against Trump. I agree with that 100%. There's not a lot of love for Biden. It is dislike and hatred for Trump versus love for Trump. This is Trump running against Trump. It's not Trump running against Biden. Biden just happens to fill in the slot. If they replace Biden with Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, or somebody else, I don't think the numbers would really change that much because people are either voting for Trump or against. At 1 p.m. Central, I do got to get my ass to bed. Appreciate you folks tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow.